Hey guys, this is L80s. I'm trying to do a Krisk video, but Dudley wants my attention. Okay, so one of the things you can do on my Twitch is redeem your channel points, which you get for free. By the way, you can redeem them for a champion guide. And recently we've had a guide redeemed on Krisk. I don't have a Krisk, so Doctor Who has lent me his account to do a showcase. Krisk, Void Legendary, very difficult to get. I actually remember when they first launched this guy, and I wailed hard to try and get him. I still don't have him. I don't know how long ago he was released, maybe a year or something now. Still don't have him, but absolutely awesome champion. Visually, one of the best aesthetic-looking champions in the game. And it doesn't stop there. This guy carries on, not just aesthetics, he is a beast of a champion. So much in his kit. AoE decreased speed, big boy version, 50% chance to land it on an A1 AoE. He's got an AoE A2 as well. Whilst he's throwing it out there, he's placing ally protection on his team, putting 2 big heals on his team as well, and increasing all duration of ally buffs. So a bit like what Sandlash does or Lanicus does. He's doing all of those things with an A2. 3-turn cooldown. Makes him totally viable for clan boss, for anything really, anything at all. He's also got here an A3, which provokes all enemies, increases his own defense, and increases your team's speed. So with his A3, then lapped by his A2, he can put increased speed on your team and keep it going the whole time, which is pretty busted. He's got a passive as well then. So at the start of a round, he puts a shield out. The shield's equal to half of his health. So that could be a massive shield, like a 40-50k shield if you build him with high HP. Also, when booked out, 100% chance of placing decreased defense and decreased attack for anyone who hits him for 1 round. Now, for clan boss that will happen. The decreased defense and attack will happen every time he's hit. The shield only happens at the start of the fight. After that, won't happen again. But you get this before an arena fight kicks in, before you walk into a wave in a dungeon. So there's not really any content that he doesn't become top tier for. I have not built this Krisk. Doctor Who had already built him, but we're going to run him in content in this build. So what have we gone for then? Defense with defense on the ring. Crit damage on the amulet. I would argue that defense or crit damage are both good. Accuracy is important to get all of his abilities off. Accuracy on the banner, which makes sense. And then to get to the speed he's running, we've got speed boots, we've got a defense chest, and we've got a defense set of gloves. Krisk has got one of the highest base defenses in the game. So when you're putting defense percentage items on him, you can get his defense up very high, really fast. I'd even argue with the build that Doctor Who's done here, he would probably benefit more from crit rate gloves than those defense gloves because he's already got such a chunky defense in this build. He's just kind of been looking for defense and accuracy in other places. Now, Doctor Who's not done like a full speed-tuned build, but what we're going to do first is just kind of look through his clan boss run. As he's got this team built now, I'm not going to change the team for this before I show him in other areas. The Masteries he's running are offense, defense. So this is like a clan boss stroke dungeon build. You could run him in arena as well and go like super high resistance, high defense. And in that case, you would go more like a defense build ending in unshakable and a support tree build. But Krisk does do some damage, so this build will work nice for all of the main kind of bits of content initially. So because Krisk does this like endless speed buff, you can actually run the rest of your clan boss team really slow. Look at this. We've got an Ultan 156. We've got a Draco 154. We've got a Skull Crusher 146. And then a Grizzled at like 144. So if you can imagine when you're normally doing an Ultra Nightmare run, you're trying to get around 190 speed. With these guys, we're running way, way slower than that. Okay then, let's do clan boss. So we're actually on the negative affinity, well not negative, we're on spirit affinity. So it's probably as hard as it gets for a clan boss fight. You've seen the team. So we've got our decreased attack, we've got our weaken, we've got our decreased defense, we've got poison, we've got block debuffs. Krisk gives us a shield to start. It's a kind of nothing ability really for this now, because it only goes on for that first turn when Clan Boss doesn't hit hard anyway, so you outrun it. We get our A3 off to increase our speed. We then want a 1 from Altan, a 1 from Draco, a 1 from Skullcrusher, and then we go A2 from our Grizzled. Gives us our block debuffs up. Krisk then comes in with his A2 and he extends all of these buffs. So that block debuff is going to extend for another turn. So firstly, we don't take the decreased speed from Spirit, which is huge. It's a huge, huge thing to not take. Let's get our slam off here. We get the A2 off with Draco. Poison. A1 with our Skullcrusher. A3 with our Grizzled. A1, and then we're auto. So because of the extension of those buffs, it meant that the Skullcrusher, although he took the slam, he didn't actually take a stun. So we now fall totally in sync. And for a tough affinity fight, we still managed to deal with the fight and keep things like our block debuffs up. So there it is again, extends again, see that? All of those heals extending for another turn as well. Just a very, very slick, very cool setup. Really cool setup for an auto run. So I'm going to let this run through. I'll take it to the end and let's see how we get on. So yeah, already 25, 26 million in against Spirit Affinity. That is like big boy comp. Big boy comp. We've got double ally protection, keeping the team alive. So one person puts out ally protection, Skullcrusher. He tanks up a load of the damage but can't die. Then Krisk takes over the ally protection and tanks up the next load of damage. It's a really cool setup. Really like it. And this is like a proper endgame team. If you are not endgame and you've got Krisk, don't fear. You can still use him. He's still going to go into every clan boss setup you're going to use, perhaps until you do an unkillable team. But yeah, absolutely awesome comp. And as I said earlier, it enables you to put out the rest of your team much slower than you normally would, which means you can pick up their defense and keep them alive like we're seeing here. 40 turns into Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss without an unkillable team is long into the fight, I'll tell you that. We're even going to be close even to like 2 key in this. But no, people are starting to sit down. Okay, so 30 mil. Absolutely like comfortable 3 key zone. So absolutely awesome setup. Yeah, so I guess after this, let's go and check out some dungeon comps and see what you can do there. What did he do in damage though? So he did 3.7. You got Altan coming in with 8, Draco 12. Yeah. So again, like Krisk could end up doing more damage if we picked his crit rate up, but really, really solid setup. Okay then, so let's check him out in some of the different dungeons. And the cool thing about Krisk is pretty much you can run him in any dungeon and he's going to be awesome because of all of those buffs, those debuffs. I'm not going to change all the teams that are running here because I don't know the account well enough, but you can see with the same build, we get a straight shield coming out at the start of every round. And with dungeons, that's every wave. So it's massively more impactful than Clan Boss, which means that we do a ton of damage. Look at that, 60k across the board hit on his A2. It's like bringing someone in a shield set, but you're not bringing anyone in a shield set. So there's a shield again, see what I mean? Also, he puts decreased speed out on all the mobs. He puts increased speed on us. He puts ally protection out on us. So there's just a ton of stuff that he's doing. The AoE provoke mean that they don't do their shriek ability on Ice Golem. So he's just absolutely god tier for any sort of wave control. And he hits hard. Like, there's nothing bad about his kit. Slam there, A1, 30 to 40k across the board. So yeah, absolutely brilliant, brilliant champion for anything. Here comes our shield set. One thing to be aware of as well is that shield sets do stack with the Krisk shield. So if this shield's not big enough for you, and you're like, you know what, I could do with a bigger shield, bring someone in a shield set and you're going to get even more benefit out of all of that stuff going on. So yeah, very, very awesome champion. This is one dungeon that he's kind of strong in. just because his kit is absolutely bonkers. When anyone hits him, so that when the Ice Golem slams with his AoE, he's going to apply the decreased attack and decreased defense to the Ice Golem as part of his kit. So again, absolutely kind of busted good. And we ended up getting a relatively quick run. If we get lucky and we get a Rotus block revive move going on, then it'll be a quicker run. But again, look at that, like 60 odd K across the board. And that's with a War Master proc coming off. So it's not like we've got him in Savage and Helm Smasher. If you did, you could get him hitting for crazy, crazy numbers. So yeah, up there as, you know, one of the best legendary champions for kind of any content. There's not really a place where he's weak. So this is going to end up being like a 2-minute 30 odd run. Could probably just focus everything there. We've got so much protection in this team. Bam, 226 to take a shard for our efforts. Krisk does 1.3 mil. Way more than Draco, a little bit less than Rotus. That's where he's sitting. Crazy, crazy numbers. In Spider then, you know, he's not an obvious choice for Spider. But we've got him in this team. We'll see what he does. We've got him in this team. So this is like a decreased defense and weakened Draco. We've got Raw Guard coming with the slams. Krisk starts us off with a shield at least. Plus he brings in the provoke. So, you know, the Spiderlings are all going to go into that Krisk for the start. I'd say the speed tune's a little bit off. Maybe Draco should be in faster boots. He's still in his clan boss boots. I think actually Doctor Who swaps him over into speed boots for this sort of content. But look at that damage there. He's just cleaned out all of those Spiderlings. 2 million strike coming in from Coldheart. It's nice. Just did a guide on Coldheart yesterday. If you didn't see it, you should check it out. She is endgame viable. Absolute beast. And you can see how this is running. I think if Draco was faster, this would already be done deal. Bad L's to tank when the provokes are not on. But Krisk gives Bad L a moment's breathing space by putting out that provoke. So it's really good. So basically, there's very few champions that can steal the punishment off of one of your other champions and still be absolutely fine about it. So here comes that next takedown, 1.4. We're just waiting for the next Heartseeker, and then that's going to be job done. Slams again, like 50 odd Ks everywhere. There it is. Job done, 1 minute 20. So very, very nice for Spider. Let's see if Krisk is in main team here as well. Yes, he is. I'm just going to switch those boots for Draco so that he's got his speed ones back on. And then we'll see what goes on here. So again, Krisk, I mean, he doesn't bring anything particularly special like poison or anything like that for Dragon, but he brings so much control, and on top of the control, he just brings damage, like tons of damage. He's also got a lot of buffs, which pairs really nice with Seer. So if you're trying to run a Seer combo and you don't want to bring in more Seer Mage, the shield is already on from his passive here. So if you imagine you bring in someone like a Morsian Mage in a shield set because you need that extra buff, or Seer can pick up the buff from Krisk, and that's kind of job done already. And obviously, he then puts out more buffs here, so a ton more buffs going out now. So yeah, absolutely tons of buffs that pair really well with a Seer. There it is, and we get a bunch of damage off. Seer's probably not quite built that great, so that should have been death really for everyone there. But you can see what's going on. And then, I guess if we was to fast forward to the Dragon, I won't show you the whole run. If we was to fast forward to the Dragon, what's he doing there? Pretty much, he's putting out an initial shield, and then when he gets hit, he's putting out the decreased defense and decreased attack, so that the next hit's not quite as strong. We're going to end this here, and then we're going to go on to Finites. So yeah, pretty easy 2-minute run. And for Finites then, same sort of thing really. I mean, Krisk isn't like naturally a finite champion. I guess in here you've got the damage. This looks like a really cool team actually, but who could I swap out? Maybe I swap out the Nephril. No, I'll swap out Xavier. Krisk. So Krisk is bringing Provoke to keep the attacks away from your Coldheart or your Nephril. All the time they're doing their damage. And he's also bringing increased speed. I guess we've got increased speed anyway with Lissandra, so yeah, you don't necessarily need him here. But he also does quite a lot of damage. Like straight out damage is high. So yeah, as I said earlier, if you switched him into crit rate gloves, damn, he would speed a lot of these runs up quite a bit. Just making sure those crits come out. Same sort of thing. When you get to the actual boss, all of his targets are single target, which is why Doctor Who probably doesn't run him here. The single target attacks just don't give you that kind of benefit of getting through that finite shield really quickly. Albeit he does also throw out an ally protection, which helps you when the finite tries to slam your weaker guys. So I still think he can be used just about in any content at all. And he just hits like a truck when those crits go out. So yeah, as I say, when you get to the boss, shields are up, which gives us a good chance on the first wave. The first wave's generally where people struggle the most. You perhaps don't get the shield down in time to get your turn meter drops down, but we have here. What Krisk will then do is speed up everyone. So it gives us that increased speed buff. He won't be putting any of his debuffs out because he's not getting hit. So at this stage, it's just then can your guys to finish it off in the time. It depends who you got. So again, he brings some stuff here. He's not like the MVP here. He's just solid. Just a solid champion. So I think the last place to show him off then is going to be Arena. Okay then, let's do Clan Boss. So we're actually on the negative affinity. Well, not negative, we're on Spirit Affinity. So it's probably as hard as it gets for a Clan Boss fight. You've seen the team. So we've got our decreased attack, we've got our weaken, we've got our decreased defense, we've got poison, we've got block debuffs. Krisk gives us a shield to start. It's a kind of nothing ability really for this now, because it only goes on for that first turn when Clan Boss doesn't hit hard anyway, so you outrun it. We get our A3 off to increase our speed. We then want a 1 from Altan, a 1 from Draco, a 1 from Skullcrusher, and then we go A2 from our Grizzled. Gives us our block debuffs up. Krisk then comes in with his A2 and he extends all of these buffs. So that block debuff is going to extend for another turn. So firstly, we don't take the decreased speed from Spirit, which is huge. It's a huge thing to not take. Let's get our slam off here. We get the A2 off with Draco. Poison. A1 with our Skullcrusher. A3 with our Grizzled. A1, and then we're auto. So because of the extension of those buffs, it meant that the Skullcrusher, although he took the slam, he didn't actually take a stun. So we now fall totally in sync. And for a tough affinity fight, we still managed to deal with the fight and keep things like our block debuffs up. So there it is again, extends again, see that? All of those heals extending for another turn as well. Just a very slick, very cool setup. Really cool setup for an auto run. So I'm going to let this run through. I'll take it to the end and let's see how we get on.